What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop. So if you haven't noticed already, 2018 is going to be an anxious waiting game for information on Pokémon Switch. It's a game we know nothing about other than it's happening, yet the hype is so real and rightfully so, because it's going to be the first main series Pokémon game on a home console capable of better graphics, higher resolution, and better overall gameplay. And it's something that's been a dream for many of us since the days of Generation 1. However, despite knowing nothing, there are some educated predictions we can make about what this game might bring, and in this video, I'm here to give you 5 of my predictions for Pokémon Switch. Now, these are by no means a concrete proclamation or anything, but are calculated approximations that could potentially happen based on certain evidence. Oh, and as another quick disclaimer, because the possibility of Pokémon Switch being a remake has been thrown around, I will be talking about Pokémon Switch assuming it's going to be a Generation 8 game, because it most likely will be. So, with all that being said, why don't we just get into it? These are my 5 predictions for Pokémon Switch. Okay, how about we start with one out of left field? This is one that I haven't really seen anyone talk about, and while it might be kind of trivial, I feel fairly confident that it's going to happen, and that's the box art legendaries, or just the box art Pokemon in general, will have a red and blue coloration. Now, I say this because the primary games in almost every generation have featured Pokemon with red and blue colorations. Now, some of these are variants of red and blue, such as orange, pink, or purple, but all of these variant colors still originate from the primary colors of red and blue, which were featured on the primary games of the franchise, meaning this could possibly be an Easter egg of some sort. Now, the only 2 sets of games that don't feature this pattern are Gold and Silver and Black and White, games which are both connected to Red and Blue, with Gold and Silver being essentially a sequel, and Black and White being a soft reboot. Even Black and White 2 feature this pattern, so even though it seems kind of weird and silly, I feel like it's pretty decently likely that this will happen with Pokémon Switch, simply because this pattern is held up almost perfectly over the almost 22-year history of the franchise. So if this does end up happening, you heard it here first. The second prediction we're going to be covering is the one that's been talked about the most amongst the community, and that's where the new region of the game will be based on. My personal prediction is that the new region of Pokémon Switch will be based on a country somewhere in Europe. I say this first because Spain has been thrown around for various reasons as a possible candidate, and I even made a video recently on how Italy might be a possibility as well. Now, while I believe these 2 options as legitimate possibilities based on their evidence, which if you want to know more on, you can check out my videos on them, I also just have a really good gut feeling about it. We just had a very tropical region in Alola, which means we're probably due for a more temperate region with possibly even snow-like temperatures. And given that it most likely won't be based in the US because Alola is based on Hawaii, and there are a ton of options in Europe that haven't been explored, it just seems like all the pieces are lining up for another Europe-based region, and I certainly hope we see one because it could help make for a great game. Another thing I think we have a good chance of seeing in Pokémon Switch is more eeveelutions. I say this because every time we have seen new eeveelutions introduced, outside of Generation 1 of course, it has been in even numbered generations, making the introduction of new eeveelutions in Generation 8 a natural choice. As far as the typings we will see for these eeveelutions, my official prediction is one or both of the rock and fighting types. I say this because similar to Leafeon and Glaceon in Gen 4, these are more standard types, and we're coming off the heels of an eeveelution introducing a new type in Gen 6, the same situation that Generation 4 had with Generation 2. Finally, one of these types is stronger than the other, just like Generation 4, and both types are really balanced amongst the other eeveelutions, with Rock having 2 strengths and 3 weaknesses compared to every other eeveelution, if you count the Fighting type, and Fighting having 3 strengths and 2 weaknesses in the same situation. I honestly have a good feeling about the types here, as well as the presence of new eeveelutions, and I think the addition of them is something that could really help the hype of this brand new game. Up next is not so much a prediction of what will be in the game as what won't be, and that's Mega Evolution. As badly as everybody, and I mean everybody, wants to see Mega Evolution be more of a focal point in the next Pokemon game and see new Megas introduced, I don't think it's gonna happen. Firstly, this is consistent of a notorious Game Freak trend of introducing new features in every game, but then never using those features in another game again in an effort to keep each entry unique and give them value. It does seem odd, however, with Mega Evolution, given that it became the face of the franchise during Generation 6 and completely changed the metagame. Yet, Game Freak seems to be just throwing it away despite putting so much effort into it just a few years ago. With the way it was handled in Generation 7, where it was basically an afterthought in favor of Z moves, I just don't see it making a comeback after skipping a generation. It might be thrown in just so those assets don't go to waste because it is such a popular feature, but we more than likely won't receive any new Megas, and more than likely it will be held back until the post-game, just like in Sun and Moon. It's a weird situation because you usually don't see this sort of thing in video games, but hopefully it will be the only disappointment that we see in Pokémon Switch. And for my last prediction, I believe Pokémon Switch will have a back-to-basics type of feel and won't continue the multiverse storyline. We've all heard the Pokémon reboot theory by now, but even if you disregard that and just think about it independently, a reboot type of game makes a lot of sense for a game on the Switch. Firstly, how much farther could they possibly go with the multiverse idea? Yeah, they could keep it going, but in Sun and Moon they practically blew it open with the Ultra Wormholes and Ultra Beasts, and it seems like that was a pinnacle of that storyline, and a good one too, so of course it would seem logical to start fresh with a game like this, where you quite literally have a fresh start on a new console. Second, with the Switch having such huge success and even breaking into the mainstream, it makes a lot of sense to make a Pokemon game with as broad an appeal as possible, not only to help increase interest for the Switch system, but also to take advantage of the Switch's broad appeal, and the best way to do that is to make a game that, while still new, takes a lot of inspiration from the Gen 1 games, because that's what the larger population has a soft spot for. It doesn't have to be a remake or throw in a bunch of old characters just to take advantage of nostalgia, but if it just takes that simple approach that made Gen 1 great and captures that magic from the original games, then I think we'll have an instant classic on our hands once it releases. And there we go guys, those were my predictions for Pokemon Switch and Generation 8. I am so antsy for information on this game, and I really hope we get it soon, so I really hope you guys are enjoying these speculation videos in the meantime. If you are, be sure to give the video a like and let me know in the comments what your own predictions are for Pokemon Switch. As always, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for new Pokemon content every week, and with all that being said, I will smell you guys later.